Story 1. Know how to be invisible, as in not noticed. Everyone wants to be seen these days, but there is power in blending in so much that no one notices you. Keep aware of what's around you. Also, if someone gets wound up and you just stay calm, that's a superpower. Don't panic, don't fawn, don't freeze, just stay calm and firm. Often, it takes the wind out of their sails. Story 2. For the girls, you don't have to be polite to people who are trying to harm you. If this happens in public, be weird, be loud, and draw as much attention as possible. Story 3. Defensive driving is not just some remedial technique taught to poor drivers with poor records. It is the way everyone should drive. And I'm not talking about 10 and 2 and wear your seatbelt type stuff. I mean, drive around at all times assuming the cars around you are about to make a fatal error involving your car. Be prepared to act accordingly to things that haven't happened yet. Story 4. If running away is not an option, fight dirty. Aim for the eyes, throat, and groin. Bite if you have to. If someone is invading your space and they let their guard down to look around, get your hands up because they are about to sucker punch you. Story 5. Keep your hands out of your pockets. Don't stare, but don't avoid eye contact either. Bullies look for victims and can sense a victim. If you look like you are prepared to hit back, a bully will not touch you. Hard men will only respond to provocation, so don't provoke them. Story 6. First, trust your instincts. That's what's going to keep you alive. Second, assess your situation. If you have no weapons, your best defense is a good, high-pitched repeating scream. As a single woman, I had a man break in and try to assault me while I was in bed. I sat up, unarmed, and told him, "Watch this," and began screaming in my best high-pitched scream. He ran out through my patio door, and my upstairs neighbor called emergency services. During the police interview, I was told repeatedly I had done the right thing. Story 7. Turn the other cheek and walk away. My big brother, now deceased, was stabbed repeatedly and left for dead at around 16. He managed to recover but was addicted to pills, had frequent mental health problems, and just kept getting worse until he passed a few years ago. Why was he stabbed? Because another person spit on the ground in front of him. I say this with all my heart. It's not worth it. No amount of pride is worth death or worse. Story 8. Stay alert and pay attention. Don't be lost in your phone or looking at your feet. Don't look like a victim. If you carry, visit the shooting range often, be well-trained, and maintain your weapon. And for God's sake, if you carry a semi-automatic, keep one in the chamber. Story 9. Back before key fobs were a thing, when walking to your car alone through a parking lot at night, place the body of the key in your palm and let the key protrude through your middle and ring finger. If someone wants trouble, then you punch-stab them in the face with that protruding key. Story 10. The loser of a knife fight dies in the street. The winner dies in a hospital or ambulance. The person who lived is the guy who ran away. If someone pulls a gun on you, you're literally a quarter-inch from death. Don't try to disarm them or startle them. Do whatever they want unless it involves leaving. Story 11. If you go looking for trouble, you're going to find it. I'd wager 90% of self-defense situations could have been entirely avoided if you didn't go where you didn't need to be. Now, that doesn't deprive you of your right to defend yourself. To suggest such is akin to saying she was asking for it. But you have to use some common sense. The best self-defense strategy is to minimize your chances of needing to defend yourself. Pay $20 for the Uber instead of walking half an hour at 3 a.m. If someone is getting aggressive, then leave and let them have the last word. Don't go to the bar where the guy whose wife you're involved with hangs out. Don't get involved with another guy's wife. If you do need to defend yourself, fight dirty and dishonorably. If you carry a weapon, use it. If you don't, go for the groin, the throat, the eyes. Bite and scratch. Spit and scream. And when you get the chance to run, run. In the eyes of the law, you're no longer defending yourself if you didn't run away when you had the chance. Story 12. Most random people don't have the cardiovascular endurance to keep swinging for more than 30 seconds. If you are forced to fight, go on full defense until they exhaust themselves. Whenever possible, though, don't fight. Story 13. If you cannot immediately escape, then do not give any warning before initiating violence. Warnings and honor are nonsense. Hit first and hard and leave as soon as possible. Story 14. Be aware of your surroundings. Where are the doors? Are there cameras? Where is the nearest phone? What is the address you are at? If you are in an unfamiliar place, remember landmarks as you drive. Stay oriented with your cardinal directions. Be in a state that you could activate at any time, but in a way that does not drain your energy. Awareness is how I could sum it up. It is a discipline, not a destination. Story 15. Proactive is always better than reactive, meaning it's better not to put yourself in a situation than to try to get out of one. If you must be in a shaky situation, start thinking about what you need to do to escape immediately. Look for exits and weapons. Nobody expects you to be thinking when they try to hurt you. Second, do something fast. Whenever confronted with a situation where you have to defend yourself, do something immediately. Don't wait for the person to ask for your wallet. Don't wait for it to sink in. Quick action beats studied action every time. Your opponent won't see it coming. Third, attack. Don't defend. Attack immediately. Story 16. If you get in a fight, there are no rules other than you cannot lose. A gouge, hair pull, kickballs, fish hook. Fight like hell and don't worry about any perceived dirty tactics. Story 17. Do not wear headphones when walking around outside unless you are very sure of your surroundings. Many accidents and violent attacks could have been avoided if a person was not listening to music while walking down the street at night. You can listen for footsteps near you, cars, people speeding up to catch you, and cars slowing down near you. Without the ability to use your hearing, you are giving up one of your two most important senses for avoiding danger. This also applies to riding public transportation. In general, when in a public place, you should fully engage with reality unless you want to be unexpectedly caught off guard by it. Story 18. The best martial artists are the ones who never have to use their art. The best self-defense is de-escalating or avoiding dangerous situations. Fighting should be an absolute last resort when everything else has failed. Story 19. If you are somewhere that feels sketchy, walk with a purpose. Walk like you are supposed to be there and used to being there. Keep your head up and look ahead. If someone makes eye contact, give a quick head nod down, break eye contact horizontally, and keep moving with your purpose. Essentially, don't make yourself look like a good victim or mark. If someone starts to talk to you, keep walking while politely and confidently saying something like, "Ah, no thanks, man. I've got stuff I need to take care of." Story 20. If it comes to self-defense, the only outcome that matters is winning. Eyes, groin, nose, ears versus knees, elbows, and teeth. You stop when they stop pursuing. Story 21. Threats breathe. A straight jab to the throat will paralyze the larynx and make a person gasp for air. Do not use a regular fist. Curl your fingers and align them with your palm, similar to how a gorilla rests on its knuckles, closer to a knife hand. The aligned finger bones compress less than a regular fist and transfer more force. You do not need a lot of force to incapacitate. Next, strike the solar plexus, a small target about 6 inches around the center bottom of the rib cage. A sharp strike will paralyze the muscle and make a person gasp for air. A harder one can also force air out of the lungs, increasing distress. Now use a heel strike to the jaw. Do not use a fist, as you will break your fingers and the fist will collapse. Use the heel of your palm to force the jaw up and back. This will dislocate the jaw and snap it at the strike point. The reflex will clamp it shut and deny air through the mouth. Finally, use a downward strike to the nose. You do not want anything upward, as that can be fatal. A downward strike will splatter the nose across the face and cause it to bleed profusely. At this point, breathing will be their primary goal, not hurting you. With practice, you can execute the entire sequence of strikes in under 4 seconds. A fight can end that fast with practice, but that is not the most important part. Any successful hit gives you the opportunity to run away. More hits give you more time. The whole sequence of 4 means you can stroll away. But any one hit gives you the chance and time to run. Very few people guard all 3 areas: face, throat, lower chest. The easiest way to win a fight is not to be in one. The second easiest is to make the other person give up. Story 22. Put your hands up by your face but keep your legs angled, like in a fighting position, and try to talk your way out of any situations first. 90% of the time, the "hey man, I don't want to fight. Let's chill out. How about I buy you a round?" will defuse the situation. 10% of the time he swings, and your arms are already up to parry or block the punch and to counter right back, or you can protect your face and run. As someone that boxes, does Filipino martial arts, and shoots guns for fun, I would rather pay a couple of bucks to buy my way out of an altercation rather than risk whatever mess that could come after. Even if I know I would win, I would rather do my fighting in the gym. Story 23. If someone gives you a weird, "I don't want to be around this person" feeling, get away. There is a reason for this feeling. Don't second-guess yourself. Don't worry that you may appear rude. Don't engage. Trust your gut feeling. Story 24. When someone walks fast behind me, I always slow down and turn to give them a quick look, just to let them know I see them. Not a long stare, they are probably not doing anything wrong, and people overreact if you overreact, just an acknowledgement. Story 25. When I was a kid, I asked my dad if he would teach me how to fight, but instead, he told me a story from college. He and his buddy were at a bar drinking when two dudes burst in and jumped my dad's buddy for some reason he forgot. Dad grabbed a pool stick and broke it over one of the assailants' back. The guy my dad hit turns around and says, "Hey, that's not fair." Then my dad hit him again with what was left of the pool stick. Dad finished the story by telling me, "Son, fighting is about the dumbest thing a man can do. The other guy could have a gun or a knife. Even if they don't, they might leave and come back with one. It's easier than you think to accidentally kill someone with a punch. So don't go starting a fight. But if you absolutely have to fight to save your life or someone else's, grab something big and heavy and hit them with it, then run away." Story 26. More of a preventative practice, but when walking in shady areas, especially in cities where there are often people just hanging around on the side of the sidewalks, always walk with purpose and be fully aware of your surroundings without seeming obviously nervous. Act like you live there. Essentially, move at a quick, determined pace like you have somewhere to be, you know the area, and are in no mood to be bothered. Don't just walk like you're taking a leisurely stroll through the mall doing some window shopping. That's just asking to be a target of a "hey, I have a quick question for you" from a random person watching you walk by, and who knows what could happen from there. When I used to work in New York City and was with friends in Atlantic City and other such places, I've been in those situations many times. It's extra frustrating when you're with people who lack spatial awareness. I was with a group once in Atlantic City at night, walking a particularly sketchy route I advised against, but they wanted to anyway. So I said, "All right, but let's move and stay together." Not even a few minutes into the walk, I and a couple of friends were walking together, and we looked back to see the other three friends almost 2 blocks behind us, just chatting away, looking like they were strolling through the park. I admittedly dropped the ball not noticing, but I sincerely wasn't expecting it from this group. A moment later, 2 guys started walking up to them, asking if they had any spare change. One of my friends practically stops walking, engages the guy, and starts saying, "Oh, no man, I'm sorry." And the other guy proceeds to ask one of my other friends, "How about you, man? You gotta have something for me." I then walk towards them a few steps and yell loudly, "Guys, let's go. We gotta be there on time," which abruptly stops the whole interaction and they jog up towards us. I was like, "Guys, what the? Come on." Especially at night, I look ahead and scan the area while repeatedly keeping an eye on what's behind me. It's often easy to spot someone or multiple people in your path up ahead who you can be nearly certain will heckle you if given the chance. Sometimes this gives you the ability to cross the street, ideally early enough to not tip off the people up ahead that you are doing it to avoid them. Or in the case that that's not an option, I go into my "I got somewhere to be" walk and breeze right past them. Any comments directed at me are ignored. Also, I write this as a 6-foot, 240-pound stocky guy, just for some honest context. So I often tend to get left alone most of the time compared to others. But I personally think the advice is good for anyone, as I've seen it work myself and also seen the opposite happen when people stroll about with no situational awareness. Move quickly and purposefully, and you're much more likely to be left alone. Story 27. The best way to stay safe is to do whatever your attacker says. Attackers almost always want your things, not to hurt you. Just give them what they want and you will probably be okay. Yes, it is unfortunate to lose stuff, but that is better than getting hurt, I think. If their goal is to hurt you, run. If you cannot run, the throat and groin are your best bet. Story 28. Act scarier than them. Act like a total psychopath. That usually spooks them and they will leave you alone. Predators do not like loud, noisy, difficult women. Story 29. Be aware of your surroundings. Notice when someone is acting strangely and where exits and narrow points are. Many people on phones do not notice the person clearly eyeing them to steal their phone and run, and they don't even know which way to run after them. Story 30. More so than any weapon or technique, situational awareness is the most valuable tool. Avoiding bad situations, people, and places negates the requirement for 99% of the other things.